Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ring Ready Live, the home of the owner handler, brought to you by Showsite Magazine. I'm Dan Sayers with Showsite, here once again with Lee Whittier, the dog show mentor. Lee, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
How was your weekend? I know that your Albury Club had 3 days of shows. How did everything go?
Well, it went really well, and I am so thrilled that we had such a great entry. We had 1,000 dogs on the weekend and just a little bit below that on Friday. That's the first time that we had 3 days of shows.
Okay.
And our committed members were a small club between 8 and 10 people. And we've just got a couple new members, so we're really excited about that. And they like to work, so that's even better. Hey, Ginger, welcome. And so, between the committed members, the great judges, and the wonderful exhibitors, we had a lovely show. And I think everyone's going to come back, and hopefully, we're going to figure out ways to make it even more fun. We had a chow specialty, and that was really cool. They had 9 chows. Um, and it was great to have them. And on the last day, Chow won the regular group and the owner handled group. So that was fun as well.
That's very exciting. You don't see Chow Chows as often at all breed shows as you once did, and that's exciting when a breed that we don't often see wins such a prestigious award. You mentioned that the club has 8 to 10 working members and some new members. Welcome to those new members to your club. But it's extraordinary that 3 days of shows can be produced by 8 to 10 people. So y'all must have been working around the clock to get things
You
done.
know, the Vancouver Kennel Club members are amazing, and we just all come together and make this show happen. And last year we did have some uh, exhibitors and professional handlers helping us with the COVID issues that were in effect at the time. But we have a little window here where we didn't have to wristband, we didn't have to check uh, your cards, nothing.
Hmm.
Hey, Cindy, Spanish water dogs,
Welcome, Cindy and
welcome.
Ginger. Leah, it looks like we have a lot of our viewers trained. They know when they come up. But let us know they're here in the comment section. So well done to those of you who have, and to those of you who have not yet commented. Let us
Yeah,
know where you're
we want
from.
to
Let us know
see.
your breed. And today we're going to be talking about bait. The question is to bait or not to bait. And I think you may be rethinking your use of bait after today's show. But let us know again where you're from and your breed, and let us know what you're using for bait these days, and let us know why. Because, Lee, I imagine you're going to have some opinions about the use of bait in your ring as a judge. So before we get to that, remind everyone who the dog show mentor is and how everyone can get in touch
Oh,
with her.
yeah. So I'm Lee Whittier, and I'm the dog show mentor, and dog show mentor is exclusively for owner handlers and for owner handlers who want to win more in the ring. And you could go to dogshowmentor.com, find out more. You can email me at lee@dogshowmentor, or you can uh, direct message me on Facebook Messenger. So, and I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from everybody.
That you make it very easy for folks to get in touch with you. I know that you're always available to me when we have something to review. And I know that you're always available to your members and those folks who want to become members as well. So I encourage everyone to take Lee up on her invitation to say hello to her directly and see how you can become more successful in the ring with your dog by becoming a member of Dog Show Mentor. So we've got a lot of folks joining us today, Lee. Lori's here, Debbie's here from Illinois with Scottish Deerhounds. Marilyn, welcome from Olympia, Washington. That's sort of in your neck of the woods, Lee.
Oh,
She
she might have
has,
been at the show. Were you at the show, Marilyn?
yeah, let us know if you were at the
Yeah.
Vancouver shows this past weekend. And let us know once again what you're using for bait because, Lee, to bait or not to bait. I wonder if owner handlers have given much thought as to how their use of bait in the ring can actually be hurting their dog's chances of winning. And although a piece of dry liver might get your dog's attention, it can just as reliably create an unintended impression of a dog
Chaos.
that's out of control.
Chaos.
Yes.
But
So
you wrote an article on bait this month, didn't you?
I did indeed in the November, or rather the October issue of Ring Ready. You can find my article, which talks about this very topic. You know, Lee, when we become handlers, when we decide to show our dogs in the ring and we go to classes or we go to a show and we watch other exhibitors, professional and amateur alike, in the ring with their dogs, we see a lot of bait. And we just assume that we too need bait, or maybe in our show handling classes, we're taught how to bait our dogs. But I can tell you from personal experience that sometimes the bait has gotten me and my dog into trouble. So why don't we jump right into it and just give us some of your viewpoints as a judge on the use of bait in the ring. What are the good things that you see, and then let's get into the problems that bait can cause.
All right. Well, properly used, it's obvious. It is intended to enhance your dog's performance. It is intended to get your dog's attention. It is intended to make it more fun for your dog.
Mm.
Okay. So those are some of the reasons that people use bait. Some other reasons that people use bait are that their dog is not trained. And so they try to overcome way too many issues by using bait. So if the dog is fearful of people going over them, sometimes they'll use bait and it's not really very successful. The dog is still afraid. The dog isn't becoming unafraid by using bait. You're just distracting him from what's really going on. And in some cases, the judge can't really get their hands on the dog easily through this process. The dog may be leaning on you and, leaning forward for the bait, right? And so what kind of impression does that give the judge's hands when they're going over them? These are can be serious problems, because if a dog is afraid and you're not able to get him over it through training, then you have to ask yourself, what is the point? But I'm veering off here like I like to. So Dan, you had an interesting story in the magazine, and I'm wondering if you could just briefly share what your experience was, because I think that's really valuable.
Well, thanks, Lee. So in my October article in Ring Ready, I reveal, if you will, an experience that I had with the first Rhodesian Ridgeback that I ever owned and showed. And as a new breed, Kira was her name. She provided me with lots of opportunities to learn. And so we went to classes and we started to show her. And she was a hound. She had a mind of her own. And every week at handling class, it was a new problem to solve. And
Mm.
every time we entered the ring, it was a whole new experience. But we stayed the course, and lo and behold, Kira was getting it. She finally was figuring out how to stand for exam and how to move in a straight line. Those were the two things that were especially problematic for me showing her. Well, we had her enter. She did become a champion, and we had entered her in a specialty. And on the day of the specialty, we arrived, and every exhibitor was told that there was a change of judge, and the new judge was not allowing bait in her ring. Well, you can imagine the horror that went through the exhibitors, because like myself, I had grown dependent on the bait. A, to get her to stand for exam, and B, to move in a straight line and to come back to the judge and give her that free stack. Well, without the bait, I didn't have that tool. But what I learned, because Kira the Ridgeback taught me, is that she didn't need the bait. She didn't need it any longer, but she did need it on that day for sure. So we went in the ring, and guess what? She stood more soundly than she'd ever stood. She moved in a straighter line than she had ever moved, and she nailed her free stack so well as she'd never done before that we were awarded Best of Opposite Sex. And that was it was a spectacular win, but even more so, it was an invaluable lesson. And it taught me that perhaps I'd been using bait incorrectly, or I relied on it when I didn't always need it. And so I'll always thank Kira because she kind of she taught me a lesson, as all of our dogs do.
They do.
And Ridgebacks, Lee, you judge Ridgebacks. They are big, powerful, quick, and agile animals. And you know, when they see something, they go for it. And so if that's a piece of bait, then you've got an out of control Ridgeback, and that's what I had until the bait went away.
Right. Well, and it's funny you should mention Ridgebacks because I recently had an experience where an exhibitor was literally feeding her dog. I mean, she had a handful of food and she was feeding her dog while I was trying to examine it. And I couldn't. I mean, the dog was, when she tried to take the food away, the dog lunged towards me, not in any mean way, but just wanted the bait and was looking for it and ended up in my stomach.
Mm.
And that's a very uncomfortable feeling to have a dog come for you looking for food and thinking that your stomach is the food. And it's a very weird feeling to have the dog moving back and forth under your hands, sort of quivering and moving back and forth. It's a weird feeling, and you're not getting, it distracts you from feeling that beautiful neck into shoulders, or that beautiful level top line, or that beautiful curvy top line, whatever it is. But I want to address Sarah Elizabeth's comment about Beathen hounds, and that she uses bait to distract them from feeling uncomfortable and leery of strangers. And absolutely, dogs are not machines. I emphasize this at Dog Show Mentor, that our dogs they're dogs, they're living beings, and they have feelings. And they get feelings from judges, they get feelings from other dogs, they get feelings from their handlers. They're sentient beings, right? So, of course, if you're using your bait to distract the dog and you're holding it in front of them, or even if you're letting them nibble on a small something, that's not going to distract the judge. But if you're feeding the dog and the dog is moving back and forth and the skin is moving and the whole neck is moving out of place, that's not a happy place for your dog, or for you, or for the judge. I judge a number of the sight hounds, and frankly, I rarely have issues with them because I make it pretty quick. I don't linger, so I know a lot of them do feel like that. And I don't expect them to sit there while I examine every hair on their body. So thank you for that comment, because I think it's important to make the distinction that what we're talking about here is excessive use of bait in the ring by feeding the dog, or possibly throwing the dog off balance by using it too much. And instead of getting their attention and teaching them to stand looking at the bait, they are lunging for the bait, or the exhibitor is fumbling with the bait and drops it or can't find a
Mm.
place for it because they have a mask on. I mean, it just you can't believe what some of the things that I've seen with exhibitors using bait, and some of these dogs can be very well trained with toys. I'm going to tell a quick story here about an old time Rottweiler handler. Walter Kaburski was his name, and he used to show some of the tough dogs, particularly the German imports back when the dogs were pretty tough. And he didn't use bait. When the judge came up, he'd let him look at the head for half a second and throw a tennis ball in the dog's mouth. And that's how the dog would be examined by the judge, with a tennis ball in his mouth. You can't bite anybody with a tennis ball.
Yeah.
So, but he found an effective way to accomplish what he needed to accomplish without excessive use of bait. Most of the handlers will have one piece of bait that they use all day. A good handlers, the quality handlers, will have a piece of bait, maybe a couple pieces, and they might have some different things. Like maybe they'll have a piece of steak, or maybe they'll have a piece of chicken.
Yes. Sheila says that she learned from George Alston, and at his seminars, he would tell his students that that's what he did. He had one piece of bait that he had, I believe he would say, all weekend. And I attended a few of his seminars, and I learned that from him as well, Sheila. And Glenda says she has Bouviers. There's an aloof breed. She uses words. She says hello. She tells her dog to say hello to the judge so that her dogs know that somebody is about to touch him.
Mm-hmm.
That's great to have that marker.
I
Um,
always approach the exhibitor and speak, say good morning, hello, whatever, how are you? Because particularly dogs that do have a fall over the eyes, it helps me more comfortable understanding that the new person is coming.
Sherry says that Norma Smith, who holds seminars now, teaches her students not to use bait. So, yeah, I mean, I think,
Thank you, Norma.
yeah, it's using bait, not using bait, how we use it, how big a piece of bait, all of these things we all should really think about. Bait is not feeding a dog, is it? And some folks often withhold food the morning of a show so that their dogs are excited for the bait. But are they
Well,
learning to be fed in the ring instead?
um, maybe. I mean, I think dogs that are bait crazy should probably get at least half a meal in the morning.
Hmm.
But as a judge, one of my concerns is that people use, particularly chicken. It really shreds, and I have banned chicken from my ring, and the exhibitors go wild. At one time they ran to the AKC rep and complained because I said no chicken. They're like, oh, she must be allergic to chicken. No, I'll go on record by saying I'm not allergic to chicken. I just don't like how it shreds in the ring. It makes a mess. And other exhibitors are going to come in that ring with little dogs. And this is particularly boxer, Doberman, Rottweiler people, the big breeds use a lot of chicken. If you could please use some kind of freeze dried something or other that doesn't make a mess in the ring, it would be greatly appreciated by, I'm pretty sure, most judges.
Indeed. We've all seen judges who walk around the ring and have to pick up some bait by themselves, or the stewards are kind enough to do that for them. Yeah. After 3 days of shows, those rings can get messy with bait.
They do, unless you are at Vancouver Kennel Club, where the rings are swept every day, and the hair is picked up, and it is. You could see the exhibitors, looking, and the pictures on my Facebook page. If you go there, I have pictures of the site and how beautiful it looked on all the days. Really, it's an exceptional place, and I hope you'll come next year. Yes, I'm promoting my show.
By all means, your members and yourself, you work so hard for that one weekend each year. So why not promote? That's what we're here to do, promote owner handlers. Seneca says that with her puppy or his puppy, I'm sorry, Seneca, not sure which, but you did a lot of training as a routine and you rewarded a lot. But now that I guess your dog is older, you rewarded strategic points in the exam. Somebody else said that they reward at the end. Uh, they get a little piece of bait when the exam is completed as a reward to signal to their dog, job well done. I imagine that that's appreciated by judges as well, Lee.
Well, it is. And, one of the things that comes to mind is that if you are giving your dog a piece of bait at the end of the exam, just make sure that you've trained the dog to wait for you to give it to them.
Hmm.
Because again, in Rottweilers, in one case that I know of, and probably many cases that I don't know of, a Rottweiler was disqualified for life because he, at the end of the exam, he leaped in exuberance. The handler put his hand up with the bait. The dog leaped for exuberance. The judge was in the way, and the judge thought the dog was going for her, and she disqualified the dog for life. And that was a very nice dog. And he wasn't a mean dog at all. So you have to be careful about those things. Make sure that you're keeping your judge safe.
Yes, safety is number one. Safety of the judge, safety of the dog, safety of everyone who's nearby. It doesn't take more than a single piece of flying bait to send any dog in the ring sailing in the air, mouth agape. And you're right, that can send a horribly mixed message to anyone nearby. So, another reason to be very judicious in our use of bait.
I like Sandy's idea of using cat toys to get expression. Um, that sounds like fun. I'm not sure. I don't really know much about cat toys, but
Well,
um,
Cindy agrees with Sandy. She does the same thing. So maybe Cindy and Sandy are on in front of a trend, and we're going to be
there,
seeing more
yeah,
cat
you're
toys at
onto
dog
something.
shows. Those little fake mice. Some of them are
Oh,
covered in rabbit hair, and others are synthetic. They often make great lures in lieu of bait as well. Um, and Lee, you said something a bit ago or early on about the nervous dog, and you see exhibitors feeding the dog to sort of placate. But you had me thinking that when I'm nervous, the last thing I want to do is eat. And I know there are nervous eaters, but you know what I'm saying? The morning of a show, I'm not having a full Irish breakfast. I'm going to wait and get the job done. And I imagine it's the same for our dogs. That if we've got an anxious dog, a stomach full of food or even a rich piece of liver might be a little bit unsettling in the ring. In other words, maybe we need to bring that cat toy or something else in lieu of chicken
I,
and liver.
I'm not sure about that, Dan. I think a lot of dogs. I mean, I know my dogs like to eat first thing in the morning. So, but it is rich food, and people have all kinds of in their arsenal, right? They have an arsenal of food in their pocket, all the different things. And sometimes you need that. When the chips are down, you want to have really good bait and you want to have your dog attentive to it. And all of these pieces come together that the dog doesn't lunge for it. You're not feeding them, but you're using it judiciously and in a timely manner. Timing is everything. I had the opportunity to watch handlers this weekend because, normally as a judge, I'm looking at the dogs. So I haven't had a chance to really study the handling. But this weekend, not, I was show chairman, so I got a chance to watch dogs and their handlers. And it was really interesting to me the timing what is so exceptional in some of these people. These quality handlers are are really, it's amazing. That's what I'm going to say. Is timing is everything. You get your dog to look fantastic when that judge is just about to turn around
Mm.
and keep it there.
You
You
know,
know.
that's a real lesson, isn't it? To sort of stand ringside and watch those handlers and their timing. Those quality handle dogs don't just happen. They're at the other end of a lead of somebody who understands timing, when to use the bait, when not to use it, etc. A lot of our comments, Lee, here are really breed specific, which is interesting. Jeannie has Irish Wolfhounds, and she says that instead of using bait, she just moves to the front of the dog and holds the head. And after
Right.
the judges check the bite, um, that's where she finds herself. So her timing is such that she moves. Maybe it's easier to do that with a giant breed. I don't know. But Jen says that she's got flat coats, I believe, which are to be shown freely. So she has a question actually: is that would a toy be just as bad as bait? In other words, would a toy be as, I guess, distracting, perhaps to?
Yeah, that's going to depend on the prey drive of your dog, isn't it?
I know with my sporting dogs, that's the case. Yes,
Mhm. Yes.
some of them would be over the top with a toy rat, I think. But here's one. Maybe you've never heard this. I know I haven't. But Lori says that her dog loves butterflies, and so Lori ordered mini butterfly stuffies to have in the ring. Lori, if fake butterflies work for Petunia, by all means. So Lee, don't be surprised if we see butterflies and plastic rats in a ring near you soon. But these are all great suggestions, and Lee, they're all really good alternatives to the problems that bait can cause in the ring.
You know, it's so frustrating when you have dogs that you think might be nice, but you can't tell because they're not, you can't feel them, you can't see them because they're being fed, even to the degree, and I want to say this because I think this is an important point, even to the degree in the groups and best in show, I have seen quality handlers setting up their dogs, holding the collar with their left hand and baiting the dog with the right hand and having that dog moving back and forth. Now it's in the lineup and the judge is looking for its best in show, right? Best in show dog. And that handler's making that dog rock because the dog isn't trained to stand there and look at the bait. How heartbreaking if you're that handler and don't realize what you're doing to your dog, how you're distorting the picture to get that group one,
mm,
right? Very, I mean, so this is more than just to bait or not to bait. This is this is like best in show or not best in show. This is getting the win at the breed level or not.
This conversation has really helped me to understand that how, as an owner handler, I may be doing things that completely upset my chances. And you mentioned the dog moving, so you're a judge. You're trying to feel that neck into shoulder, and you're trying to feel the spring of ribs and where those elbows are, etc. But if my dog is doing this, how on earth can I expect you to know how wonderful my exhibit is? You can't, because I'm not making it possible for you,
That's right.
because my dog is either not trained or my dog is just distracted, over the top, or all those other things that we've been talking about.
You're actively distorting your own dog. You're actively giving the win away.
We are giving the win away, aren't we? Yeah.
Mhm.
And yet we can walk out of the ring and then our dog is just standing beautifully wagging tail and we're saying to our friends, what happened? Why didn't we win? My dog is perfect. Well, We need to go back to the drawing board, do a little bit more training, rethink that use of bait, and rethink, rethink what we're doing to prevent our dog from winning. Having this time with you where all of us get to sort of hear your experiences from the center of the ring is really helpful because I imagine I'm not the only one today who is maybe reconsidering why we've been doing some things that we've been doing, or maybe why we haven't been winning certainly the way that we hope to win. But often it all starts with a lack of training, you know?
Well, and a lack of understanding of
Yeah.
what the judge is seeing.
Yeah.
And so as a result of this and all the conversations that we've been having, Dan, um, I have developed a new program, a year-long intensive program called Dog Show Mastery. And the application will be up shortly on my website, and we will give you that information as soon as we have it. But look for the new program. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be intense. So if you're not really committed and really interested in winning more, don't apply.
Well, I should think that based on the dedication of Ring Ready Live viewers, there certainly
Yeah,
should be some interest among the dedication or the dedicated folks who join us here each week. You mentioned applying. So this
yeah,
new program requires an application,
it
and
does.
I imagine that class size is limited. Is that
It
correct?
is, yeah. So it'll be limited to 10 people and their dogs, and it will be key, not so much where you are in the process. In other words, if you're a beginner or if you're more advanced, but it'll be a cohort system, which means that those people go through the system, and then that will be that's your group. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So look
So
out for it.
for 10 lucky owner handlers, a year from now, they could find themselves joining us and sharing a year's worth of success as a result
Yeah,
of joining this,
yeah,
this
absolutely. And
program.
you know, I think that this is key too. Is that do you have a dog? Do you have the quality of dog that can do the winning that you want to do?
Yeah.
And we don't talk about that very much because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But the truth of the matter is, you have to have a quality dog to start out with. And so we will be addressing that in the Dog Show Mastery program.
That's wonderful. Without the dogs, there's no dog show. Without the owner handled dog, there's no owner handler. And those dogs depend on breeders. So as a breeder, I'd like to give a shout out to the folks that provide that carefully breed the dogs and provide them for all of us to take into the ring. So, well, listen, I again encourage everyone, 10 of you, don't miss out on this opportunity. Sounds like you're going to be interviewed by the Dog Show Mentor, but I wish you all the best of luck. And Lee, I hope that you have a wonderful group of folks to choose to join you for that year.
Yeah, and join if you haven't already, join the Dog Show Mentor Owner Handlers group. We're a great group of people. We're doing more than bragging. We're reflecting. We're helping each other out, meeting at shows, and I weigh in on certain topics as well personally. So come to Dog Show Mentor Owner Handlers Facebook group and join that.
Lee, you make it easy. You've got so many ways for
I
people
do.
to get in touch with you, and I mean that is just a wonderful, gift from you to the fancy to have this owner handled Facebook group. And of course, your role as the dog show mentor is unlike any within the sport. So, again, thank you on behalf of all owner handlers. And I encourage every owner handler to seek the guidance that you can find from Lee. I also want to encourage you to reach out to Megan, your customer relations manager, to help you celebrate your wins with your owner handled dog in Ring Ready and in Showsite magazine. So you can always reach Megan. That's Meegan at showsitemagazine.com. And you can find Lee and I here with you each and every Wednesday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 noon Pacific, where we get together with you to celebrate you and your participation in the sport as an owner handler. So I want to thank all of you for joining us again this week. We've learned a lot. I know I have. I'm rethinking what I've been doing with my pup, as I hope some of you have as well. And again, we're here for you. So thank you for coming together with us each and every week. Lee, thank you. This has been a fun half hour as always. Is there any last thing that you'd like to share, or are we ready to go?
If I could just share one last tidbit.
Of course.
I would love it if you as in the people here, our guests, I would think you were called, if you would ask yourself what you're trying to accomplish with the bait and question that and think about, what am I trying to accomplish here? And how many different ways can I accomplish that? Gotcha. Okay.
Good question.
Bye,
All right. You
everybody.
heard it from the Dog Show Mentor's mouth, everyone. Thank you, Lee, for that and for this past half hour. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And until we get together again next week, remember to keep having fun with your dogs.
And see you in the winner's circle.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Diane and Sherry, Carol, Glenda,